Valentine's Day is one of my very favorite holidays because I am a true romantic. I fall in love with the Titanic and the Notebook. Oh, Noah, let me come decorate your big, beautiful farmhouse for you. So if you love Valentine's Day and farmhouse decor, then this is the video for you because these DIYs will fit perfectly in with your farmhouse. This video is part of the Heidi Sonboul Valentine's DIY Challenge, and the playlist will be down in the description box below, along with a link to Heidi's wonderful channel. For the first DIY, I used a big wooden heart from the Dollar Tree, this glitter styrofoam heart from the Dollar Tree, a placemat from the Dollar Tree that is not fabric, it's kind of plasticky, and it has blue on the edges, but we're only going to cut out a heart shape. And I used florals from Joann Fabric that I got on a great clearance deal, like I'm talking 80% off I think, last spring, but you could use florals from anywhere. The first step is to trace the heart onto the placemat. The placemat is just a smidgen, tiny bit of a fraction too small to fit the entire wooden heart, but we're going to cover that up, so don't worry about it. The next step is to cut the heart out. For the tip of the heart that didn't get covered by the placemat, I just cut another piece of the placemat, line up the buffalo check lines, and just make a piece to cover it. Then hot glue the placemat heart onto the wooden heart. And don't forget the little tip of the heart that we made. I had a little piece of placemat that was hanging over the edge and bothering me, so I cut that off. And now for the styrofoam glitter heart. It has a hanger on the top of it, which I will cut that off and then use Waverly white chalk paint to paint it. I used a hair dryer to speed up the drying time, and then the white heart is ready to attach to the wooden heart, and I just use hot glue to do that. I used wire cutters to trim off the ends of these little greenery bouquets, and then I hot glued those to the bottom part of the heart. And for more decoration, I pulled out a little metal heart that came off a Valentine decoration from the Dollar Tree that I already had on hand. And one of these little wooden heart stickers that's also from the Dollar Tree, I hot glued both of those onto the side of the heart. I really didn't know where to stop with this DIY. I felt like now it needed a bow, so I just kept going. And my bow making skills are practically non-existent, but if you want to see how I do it, here's how I do it. I just pinch the middle and tie with a jute string and cut off the tails. That's pretty much it. Oh, I do like to do the little fancy cut on the tails. Then hot glue the bow on the very bottom of the heart. For a hanger, I'm going to use these wooden beads that I got at Michael's. They were 50% off at the time, which made them very inexpensive, maybe $1. And they're the 10 millimeter. I found them in the jewelry making section. So I decided if I was very careful taking this out of its packaging, maybe I could keep them on their original strings and I wouldn't have to restring them. So if you're really careful, you can do that and your beads won't all fall off. But you'll have 2 strands on 2 little fishing wire or fishing line type strings. And I just tied those 2 strings together to make one long string. Now the wooden heart that we started out with had a hanger on it to begin with, so it has holes. So then I just used scissors to use those holes to make holes in the placemat. Does that all make sense? Just poke a hole through the poke a hole through the placemat where the hole in the original wooden heart was. Now, very, very carefully cut that teeny tiny end piece wooden bead off of your strand and don't let them go flying everywhere, and remove just a couple, 2 or 3 of the beads so that gives you room to tie. Well, I didn't actually tie. I put the little fishing line through the hole from the back side and then I wound it around back. It wasn't enough to tie and I didn't want to remove enough beads to be able to tie, so I just wound it around and flipped the decoration over and hot glued it to the back side. And of course I did the very same thing on the other side, so if you didn't quite catch how I did it the first time around, here's another look at it. And here's the finished farmhouse Valentine decoration. DIY number 2 is a tray to put your Valentine pretties on. And this is a tray from the Dollar Tree that I had used in a previous DIY, and I had already painted it with white chalk paint. The self-adhesive cork board also came from Dollar Tree. So I used a marker to trace around the bottom of the tray. Now, if I hadn't already painted my tray white, I would trace first and then paint. Just in case any of the marker got onto the tray, I would be painting over it anyway. But I was lucky. My marker didn't actually get onto the tray and I didn't have to repaint. So then the second step is to cut the cork out. And I say start bigger because if you cut too much, you can't add any back, of course. So start bigger, and if you feel like it needs trimmed down a little more, like I did, Right here, just trim down a little more as you go until it fits perfectly into the tray. Also, if I had it to do over again, it would have been wiser to make my tracing on the back side of the cork instead of the front side, just in case any of that marker were to not get cut off and it would be showing. And it has its own self-adhesive backing, so just peel that apart if you manage to get it apart, and you don't even need hot glue for this project. To decorate this tray, I used a glass vase from the Dollar Tree, a bouquet of flowers that were on sale at Michael's, and I just trimmed down the stems with a wire cutter so they would fit. This is a really good smelling candle from the Dollar Tree. And then another super cute, really cute candle from the Dollar Tree. I love Dollar Tree's Valentine decorations. Then I thought it would be cute to use some of these little felt stickers, and I'm not going to stick them down, but I'm going to use them sort of like scatter confetti, and just pop a few of them here and there on the tray, only using the white ones. I want to hear what you guys think. Drop me a comment down below. If you're liking this content and my DIYs, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell before you leave today. DIY number 3 is a decorative plate to put your Valentine pretties on. And we'll be starting with this clear glass plate from the Dollar Tree. So remove the sticker from the back. In a perfect world, all stickers would come off that easy. Now, to make this a Valentine plate, I'm using tissue paper that I think I got from Target. It has, I really think it was the Shabby Chic line, and it actually said Shabby Chic on it. But I have always loved the print on this tissue paper, and I've been saving it for special things. But you could use any tissue paper that you like, as long as it's tissue paper. It's going to get Mod Podged onto the back of the plate so that it will show through the front like this. So then the first step is to turn your plate upside down and trace around it. Now, hindsight, I shouldn't have used this marker. I don't know why I had this blue marker. I guess I was too lazy to go buy or go find a pen. This marker was just handy. But yeah, don't use a marker, because then you'll wind up having to wipe the mark off of the glass, which it did. Anyway, use a pen, not a marker, and then cut your circle out. So again, instead of actual Mod Podge, this is the decoupage that I'm using. It works just fine. I think it's cheaper than Mod Podge, and I had gotten it from Walmart a long time ago. Those jars lasted me forever. So put a nice coat all over the bottom of the plate. And then making sure that the brighter side of the tissue paper is facing down, because you know one side is brighter, one side is lighter. Bright side down, put it down carefully onto the plate and push out all the air bubbles that you can and get it laid onto the plate as flat as you can. Now, before you do this next step, you want to make sure that that first Mod Podge is dry, and I used a hair dryer to speed that drying time up. Once it's dry, then add a layer on top. And this is what it looks like when it's completely dry. Is that not so cute? And to decorate this Valentine plate, I'm using the little jewelry box from the Dollar Tree, and of course I picked out the pink one, but they have white ones and a really cute turquoise color one too, and some roses that I got at Walmart. I'm just in love with this plate. Now, my first decor aesthetic was shabby chic, so my heart goes there anyway, but who wouldn't love to have this sitting on their dresser or just a nice little candlelit place in their home? And for the final DIY today, it is a makeover of this Valentine door hanger that I got from Dollar Tree. So the first thing I decided was that ribbon was cute, but it wasn't really farmhouse, so it needed to go, and it pulled right off. It was just glued on. The next thing I used to farmhouse up this door hanger was some jute string, and I hot glued the end of it down at the bottom of the heart, and then I wrapped and wrapped and wrapped and wrapped and wrapped the jute string until all that pink was covered, and hot glued the end into place. Using a burlap ribbon that I got at the Dollar General, I made another bow, but this was a little too wide for the door hanger, so I cut it in half up the middle, and I made a bow like this using the two pieces. And it's the same technique as the bow I made earlier in the video, only doubled with the two pieces. And the jute string that I used to tie in the center of the bow, I used the tails to attach it to the door hanger. Now, this is something that'll match in my house a lot better than the original. Don't forget to check the playlist down in the description box below to see what all my crafty friends have made for Valentine's Day. And if you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I'll see you next time.